Hey everybody, it's Amy, and I'm not going to say from Amy's Sparkly Diamond Painting because this is a slightly different video. I started this channel as a diamond painting channel at the early start of this year, but I used to be a cross stitcher, and I have since been approached by a few companies to do some PR packages or product review packages for cross stitching, and it kind of got me started looking into cross-stitching YouTube and flosstube and all that good stuff, and also got me delving into my old stash a little bit. I did a flosstube video #1 with an unboxing from one of the companies, and I realized since then, since I've been watching some of those channels, that your flosstube video #1 should be a WIP parade. So my first one was not, but it made me go back and look through my stuff. So I have a little history to tell. So I know most flosstube videos show people's faces talking. While I'm not into wearing makeup due to other issues that I'll cover here in a minute and other things. So I'm going to do this diamond painting style, which is show hands and what's on the table rather than me. And hopefully that works out okay for all you cross stitchers out there that might be looking at this. So I started cross stitching probably 40 years ago. I am now in my mid-50s. I live in West Texas in San Angelo, and I had a lot of trouble with my eyesight, and I didn't realize through the years what was happening. I have an autoimmune issue that's called pars planitis, which causes my retina to swell. So my own immune system will attack my retinas and cause swelling in my eyes and white blood cells to clump together and all that. But it took years before it was ever diagnosed, which means that my eyesight was slowly getting worse and worse. I wore glasses. The eye doctors couldn't get my prescription quite right ever. I was always struggling to see, which means that my cross stitching went by the wayside. Much of it like 10 years ago, and I started switching what I was stitching. So I went from really complicated antique samplers like what I've got here back to Ida cloth, which is where I started when I was in high school or junior high. And then even then I went to perforated paper and full stitches because I couldn't see to do 1/2 and 3/4 stitches and back stitches and all that. And this kind of slowly evolved through the years, and I didn't realize what was happening until COVID. And when my eyes got really bad after COVID, I found the right eye doctor that figured out what was going on. I've had cataract surgeries. I still have issues from time to time, but I have since discovered magnifying light goggles, other things to help cross stitching. But what I did was get into diamond painting because that's about 10 squares per inch of a lot of the same patterns and other things that I always wanted to cross stitch, but much faster because with a, let me show you here, if you're not familiar with diamond painting, with the multi-placer diamond painting tool, you can do a lot of these same complex tapestry type images with putting down 10 diamonds at a time, or 10 little squares, or the single placer. So diamond painting seemed to be the route for me to go to make up for the cross stitching that I couldn't do. And it is my main thing. It is my main channel. That's what I'll continue to be doing. But since these other companies approached me about some cross-stitching patterns, I have since looked back into cross-stitching and have messed around a little bit more. So a year ago, because of all my eyesight issues, I gave away most of my cross-stitch stuff to my big sister Tracy, who continues to cross-stitch and she was the one that taught me 40 years ago, and she is still a cross-stitcher. She's about 6 years older than me. And so I sent just about everything to her. I visited her in Louisiana, packed everything up, sent it off to her because I figured I'm done with cross-stitching. I just can't do it anymore. Well, I've since had various eye surgeries, other things. My vision, it's still not that great, but it's okay. And I've learned about tools and other things. But I held back on some of my most special cross stitches. I thought, maybe one of these days I might be able to get back to them. So that's what I have left. And I thought I'd do my WIP parade for my floss tube number 2. Not number 1. Showing some of my very special things that I kept that I may still get to someday. So most of what I worked on was reproduction antique samplers. Here you can kind of get a hint here of some of what I've done. So I used a lot of silk and bought projects from very special shops that are still out there online. But I also lived in Tulsa in the early 90s. And if you're familiar with the shop in Tulsa there, I think it's still, maybe it's still owned by Lindy. I don't know, but I used to shop at that store in person in Tulsa. The Silver Needle is the name of the store, but I've kept up with them. I still get emails from them. It's now, like I said, 90s to 2020s. We're talking, more than 20 years, almost 30 years that the Silver Needle has been a part of my life, and still is, because I still order Mill Hill Santa kits and occasionally some other stuff from time to time. I know they do their Super Bowl sales, but I used to be a huge Silver Needle person, but now very little purchases, but they're still near and dear to me as my local cross-stitch shop, because we don't have any here in San Angelo. We have had some from time to time, but they've just never made it. We don't have a big enough population out here. But I used to go for the very complex, very small stitches, sometimes 36 count over 1. I was really into the tapestry stitch and cross-stitching over single threads, all that good stuff. But my eyes just can't do that anymore. But what I've got for you today, I won't dwell on that because I have been able to get back into it. So I'm going to start with the past and move to the current with this. But I am leaving out one big section of what I still do cross-stitch, and that is my perforated paper Santa collection, because that needs a whole video in and of itself. Because I've been a collector of Sandy Cozzolino's Santas since I was in high school or college. We're talking, again, early 90s, 92, 93. I even have won a couple ribbons with some of her designs on some state fairs or little city, county fairs. And I love Sandy Cozzolino Santas. So that's the one thing I do buy from the Tulsa store, the Silver Needle, off and on, is some Sandy Cozzolino Santa. She's now with Mill Hill, but I'm on her Facebook page. She designs 3 Santas a year. But I searched and searched. I bought on eBay. I paid too much money at times. I have just about all of her entire collection of Santas. So that deserves a whole video in and of itself. But you don't want to sit there and watch my hands. You want to see what's in here. So I thought the WIP parade for my floss tube number 2 video should be my special things that I have kept behind that my sister does not have. And these are some of my antique samplers that were so special to me. Now, I haven't seen some of these in 5 or 10 years. And the first thing I'll talk about is project bags. So cross-stitching has changed a ton since I have done it, as far as I can tell. Because my project bags look like this, which is pitiful. So the first thing I ask is that anybody that can help me out there in the cross-stitching world, please let me know where to get affordable project bags. Because although these have stood the test of time, these really need better protection. So I could tell you the brand names of my project bags are either Glad or Hefty or Ziploc or whatever packaging these things came in. So these need help. So help me out there. Put me some links to some cool project bags. So we'll get on with this. So 2 of my favorite online shops for reproduction samplers are the Exemplar and the Scarlet Letter. And I looked the other day, they both still have websites. I'm guessing they're still up and running, but I couldn't tell as much with the SM Player. I'm going to send the owner there an email and see if she is still taking orders, because it looked like she hadn't really updated any new stuff in quite some time. So this is from the SM Player, and these are true reproduction samplers from museums, and all these kits give the history of the piece. So I was really into tiny stitches, specialty stitches, and black work at one time, because I think for me part of the challenge or the fun with cross stitching was figuring out the shortest path from one stitch to another using the least amount of floss. It was kind of a game I used to play. So this is the sampler SH from 1683. A lot of these come from what's called the Fitzwilliam Museum. One of these days I'd like to visit that. But the idea with these band samplers, which were my favorites, the band samplers from the 1600s, were all the little florals, the different stitches, the fact that you wouldn't get bored. You do a little section and then it switches to something else completely different. So I love that about the band samplers. So this one is a 6.5 by 33.5, and I'd tell you on a lot of these what the linen was. I notice that's another popular thing. I have no idea on most of these, because I bought what I could find, which wasn't very much and usually wasn't what was called for in the patterns. But a lot of these from the SM Player and Scarlet Letter that I'm going to show, these were kits that I bought. So this is the kit for this one. So this is 35 count on, it just says dyed linen. So stitch count 112 by 590. So let's take a look here. I can't really, I know there are copyright rules about showing patterns, so I'll just show a tiny bit there. But it gives you a feel for how the SM Player kits come. They come on this printed paper, and this one is indeed mostly backstitch. And there's also some instructions to go with each band. They're all numbered here. The bands 1 through 33. And you could order the kits with either DMC or silk floss at the time, and not a whole lot of colors here, and you'd get some stitch directions for some of the specialty stitches that made it less boring. But I would usually buy the DMC kits, and then I would go to the local store if I had one. We've had some from time to time, and I'd pick out my own colors. Some of them were Weeks Dye Works, a lot of water lilies. I love the water lily silk because of all the different colors that would go with them. That's what this one is right here as well, that green with all the different green shades in it. So I would change out the threads. Some of these are the DMCs here. That's a DMC, that's a silk. They're probably a water lilies. Don't know what colorway, so is that, with the blues, with the different shades of blue. And that looks like a Weeks Dye Works because it's cotton with the different shades. And same with that, that looks like maybe DMC. But anyway, I would change out. There's a water lilies. This is color Pebbles, but you could see by that dye lot, we're talking about early 2000s probably for some of these. And there's some more. So let's see how far I got with this one. So this is indeed, if you can see that, a kind of yellowish sort of linen of some kind. I'm not sure if this is what came with it. I may have switched it out. So this is what I have done so far, and I'll scroll through here. There's some satin stitches there on the acorns. I just love doing black work there. I wasn't a big fan of that row right here with these because it just didn't show up that well. And then these were a lot of fun, these flowers here. And then I hit a wall. So I haven't done anything more on that one. I'd say that's probably, let me look at the picture and see if I can tell here. So I am about there in this pattern. So not too bad. But I did have fun switching out a lot of the colors there for things that I really wanted to do with silk. But oh, look at the detail on that. So much fun doing these. I used to really enjoy that. And of course the satin stitches on some of these to break them up, but it's mostly back stitching and cross stitch on this. And this was a square stitch on that. So that is my first one that I'm showing you. These are all out of order. They're just as I'm grabbing them. So that was SH 1683 from the SM Player. And I do apologize if you prefer shorter videos. This may be a little bit of a long one, but I've seen several flosstube videos that are pretty long. So this one definitely needs a beautiful project bag. So I will put that off to the side and grab another one. Let's see. This is one of my first ever reproduction band samplers. This one is called the Boscobel Oak, and this was from the Scarlet Letter, which indeed they still have a website, and I believe they look like they had more recent stuff, so I believe they are still going. But this was, you can tell, English band sampler, 1600s, Fitzwilliam Museum, Cambridge, England, and this was copyright 1998. So probably late 90s, early 2000s that I bought it. But there are several band samplers that had kind of a couple of these same motifs and images from different stitchers. And I think there are patterns out there for more than a few of them. And they probably all studied from the same person. So this is how the Scarlet Letter patterns used to come. You get instructions, the embroidery floss. Again, not very many colors. They used what they had, but these will give the DMC or the silk numbers. And P.O. Box, Sullivan, Wisconsin is where Scarlet Letter. And this one was really interesting because I ran into some troubles with it, and that's why I kind of stopped for a while. So I missed some of the instruction here. I started out right away on good footing here. Work sections 1 through 5 and double running stitch over 3 threads on linen. How often do you do patterns that say 3 threads? Then work section 6 over 2 threads. Well, the graph is wider than 1 through 5 worked over 2. It'll come out to be the same width as sections 1 through 5 worked over 3. So I got working on this, and I'm not sure it's going to fit on the piece of linen I have because I think I missed some of the switching between 3 and 2 threads on there. So some of these reproduction samplers, they try to be as close to the original as possible, which means that some things will be different than what you're normally used to cross stitching. So this was 35 count hand-dyed linen, and this was exclusive to the Scarlet Letter. Cut in an allowance for 2-inch margins on each side, 9 colors, and color photo of the finished sampler there. So a lot of this is, again, the double running stitch or black work stitch. And I won't show all the pattern, but this is kind of how it comes here, like that. And look at the finished product again without, there's a little bit of a glare here. Let's see if I can move it off. I've got a ring light that's trying to shed some glare on there. So this is another one that I probably purchased in DMC because it was more affordable. And then I switched them out for silk floss. So I have the numbers here. You can see I kind of scribbled things out, changed some things there on some of these. So I'm not even sure what company these silk threads come from, but it is definitely silk. I loved working with silk back then. So we have here some of the charts were on different papers here because of the differing stitch counts, and I think that's what threw me off. You can see here lots and lots of different charts. So let's see how far we got. And I think I was counting and saying, uh-oh, I might have a problem here. I don't think I used, again, the linen that came with it, because that's definitely more than a 2-inch border. I tended to find my own linen for these and use the linen that came with it for something else so that I'd have more of a border. But this is another one where you've got the beautiful back stitching there, that cross stitching. Lots and lots of fun. I just loved the idea of, even though this isn't black work, it's kind of the same idea. And this one actually didn't get quite as far as the other one, because I got to here with some of the rows here. The blue in between these was a bit light, so I liked the acorns, but I kind of stopped with the other half of that row. And then I did a little bit of this row. This was when I was wondering, do I have enough linen to do this? So I was kind of jumping ahead here so I could get to this part, which was going to be my favorite part to work on. So I got most of the castle done, and this is supposed to be a garden here. Let's take a look, because I'm remembering that I was worried. Yeah, so this only goes this far. So it's less than halfway, and there's still plenty there with the castle scene there at the bottom. And, you know, I might have enough. I'm going to have to count, because when I fold this, yeah, I might have enough. So there is that much fold over. But for some reason, I remember being worried about the amount of fabric I had left on this. But of course, with the band sampler, you could always just stop. But this one has such a neat tree of life, or Adam and Eve type scene here, and then a castle down at the bottom, that I would hate to cut any of that off. So that is what I got done on this one. And it needs a project bag too. This is project bag courtesy of Ziploc Slide Lock. So that is the Boscobel Oak from the Scarlet Letter. One of my favorites. That's a very special project. So what else do we have? Here's another special one. Although I shouldn't say too special, because this is a barely start. This is when my eyesight was really starting to give me some trouble. This was a more recent purchase, probably mid to late 2000s. This is called Joanna Warren 1655 English Band Sampler. You sense a trend here with what my choices were. This was also Scarlet Letter, copyright 1996 actually. And this one has pineapples, pomegranates, carnations, diaper knots, roses, acorns, lilies, grapes, and vine leaves, all combined into richly textured, arcaded pattern bands. So this one was a really tight stitch sampler. So again, same sort of instructions and charting that come from Scarlet Letter. So this one has a lot more colors though, as you can see there. And they give the cotton and silk. I'm not sure which silk brand, because there are so many now. It just says silk. Interesting. So same sort of charting instructions for specialty stitches. Look at that. Isn't that cool? This is ascending and descending diagonals thereof Montenegrin cross stitch, which is a common one on antique samplers. Kind of fun. And then we have satin stitches, buttonhole filling, all sorts of neat stitches there. But I didn't get very far on this, and it looks like I saved, or I kept with the linen that came with the kit here. I barely started this one. So what is the linen that came with this kit? Because I can just tell by how it feels here. 35 count unbleached from the company, 2-inch margin. And that's how I can tell that I kept with it, with what came with the kit. Because it just looks very different than a lot of the linens you find out there. And it does have the 2-inch border. So that one, I don't even know if I can really call that a start. But what I did was I switched out all the DMC colors for Splendor Silk, which I know is used a lot more in needlepoint, but that's what was available to me, $2.95 for each one here. And I'm going to be in trouble if I go back and do try to work on these. I don't know if this silk is even available anymore. So I might have to find a replacement. So help me out, all you out there that have been more recent cross stitchers. Is this stuff even still available? So I have all the Splendor Silk in there, as well as the original DMCs that came with the kit. So I guess if worse came to worse, I can just use the DMCs. So that one, I didn't get very far. And I think that's really when I started having trouble seeing very well. So that was, again, Joanna Warren, 1655 from the Scarlet Letter. So let's see what's next here. This bag is all kind of out of order here because what I'm seeing here is a big old chart. Okay. By seeing this, that's going to help me tell where the rest of this is. Because I have things like this going on here. There's part of a bag with some silk and DMC. But what the question is, I don't think, maybe it is. I do apologize for being, yes, okay. This is indeed the chart for this. I'll have to find the company name and all this. I'm sure this is probably SM Player, just by the look of it. Here. Luckily the charts were made big enough for my poor eyesight to see. This may be a different one. I'll hold that back. But the fabric, I need to wash it because it got a stain. This looks like 36 count linen. And as you can see, part of my problem with liking band samplers is I have to buy linen by the yard or more in order to make them long enough to be able to fit the whole thing on, because these band samplers are long. So here's what I got so far on this one, and this was, I can tell, silk there, overdyed silk with different colors. And for some reason, when I decided to stop this, I had a thread that I was working on here. Looks like I'm doing 2 strands over 2. Oh, that doesn't look like over 2, actually. 1, 2, 3. That's over 3. Interesting. Another one of those. That's really odd. So hopefully in here I can find the rest of the information that goes with this. Yes, there it is. I'm guessing that's what this bag is, and it does show the SM Player there. So I believe that's what this one is. I will have to, let's see, do we have the rest? Maybe this is it. Yes, this is it. All right. So this is called the Angel Sampler, and it's taken some beating and some wear and tear. We had a leak on the roof in our sunroom at one point, and I'm afraid that's what has happened to the pattern for this. So 1625 to 1650, Angel Sampler, the angel and tree, the scrolled S-band, and it talks about some of the different items that you find in this one. Okay, 48 count Italian linen, 7.5 by 39. That's 19 by 99 centimeters. Worked on 40 count. It measures 9.5 by 47 3/5. I probably have the 40 count there. Suitable for advanced stitchers. And then we have the different stitch instructions here. There's a DMC or silk colors, not very many. And just like the other ones, each band has some special instructions if needed there. So that one's in really sad shape. That one really needs a project bag as well as a little bit of cleaning here. But the good thing about antique samplers is that, you know, they are supposed to look a little worn. 1, 2, 3. I swear that looks to me like I was stitching over 3, which again is very confusing when you're used to doing 2 over 2 on the linen. So that poor thing needs some help. And then we have one of my other big favorites. This was another very special to me. This was from Scarlet Letter. It says Joyce Leeds 1675 band sampler. But what was so neat about this one to me is all the little different motifs on this. So you could like have a ton of mini projects and so many special stitches on this one. So this was called a spot sampler. And pattern record more than a display piece. Okay, reproduction is worked on 35 count hand-dyed linen, 10 inches by 28 inches when complete. So random use of different stitches and other things means they did the best they could to reproduce it, but it's not completely exact. So we have the different silk and floss numbers here. Not a whole lot of colors. 15 shades. And then we have tons and tons of specialty stitches again, which is why I loved these things, as well as, whoa, Croatian flat stitch. And of course the charts here in color. And some of these charts, like I said, are quite big. And then more stitch diagrams here. I used to make photocopies of some of these so that I wouldn't lose them or so I could mark them. And let's look at the floss here. So again, I replaced everything with silk there and crossed out the numbers so I'd have the right codes. But I wish I knew what brand of silk this was. I really have no idea. And let's see where I got with this one. So I was having a lot of fun with this one. And like I said, downside of wanting band samplers is the huge pieces of linen you have to buy in order to make them work out. But I think this is the one that came with the kit. So you can tell here, if I can zoom in on the letters, each of these letters use different stitches. So we've got tiny satin stitches, we've got full-length satin stitches here, cross stitches, we've got little outlining or back stitch. I tried to follow the exact directions on each of these. And we have the 2 people here with all the different filled in special stitches. I don't even remember what that stitch was there. Filling in her dress. Yeah, I can see now. And his pants there, those are all French knots, as well as satin stitches and petty point stitches. Can you see that? Look how tiny those are. So at one point I used to be able to do some pretty decent stitch work. And there's satin stitches on that. But I love the idea of all these little motifs. So you could just work on one and feel like you accomplished something. So that again is Joyce Leeds 1675. And then I started running out of band samplers like this that I could buy and do. They just weren't available much. So that's why I was looking the other day. Are there new ones out there? Not very many, as far as I can tell. But this one needs a project bag too. So that is, here's my project bag for all of those hefty 1-zip. I can't help it, sorry. So I could use some project bags. Then we'll get to another special one here, because this one has its own, let's see, this is HEB project bag. There are 2 projects in here, but only one of them has been started. And this one I left with the DMC as charted, I guess are the right words to say. So let me pull all those out of the way. So again, this is a reproduction sampler, Scarlet Letter. And these are bell pulls. So this first one was called, I guess, Stitching the Bell Pull. I thought it had a different name. There are 2 different patterns here. So inside out, there we go. That makes sense. There, now it's got a name. So this is called Wisdom and Innocence. And these are pulled aside. They're a little bit different because they aren't all the specialty stitches. These are just a lot of little images stitched together. Can you see that with the glare? Let me turn it just slightly sideways to remove the glare there. So this is called Wisdom and Innocence. It's a 17th century bell pull. The copyright on this pattern, 1997, Scarlet Letter. And you can kind of see a black and white image of what the different little groupings are. So this is Petty Point. So it's a little bit different. It's done on canvas typically, more like needlepoint. And this one is 4.5 by 36 on 35 count linen. A lot more colors on this one, as you can see here. And here it shows cross stitch, gross point, work the stitch over 2 threads in each direction. So even though it listed it as petty point, which you could do on canvas, here is the pattern. I had to write to them because I lost the original pattern. It went on a trip with me and I was willing to purchase the whole thing again, and they said no, that's okay, and they sent me this, so hopefully I can make it all work with that. And then later I did find the pattern. So this is, again, hate to show too much of the pattern. I know those are copyright issues, so let's look instead at what the stitching is. So I am doing this over 2 threads, 36 count. It looks like I used what came, I can't remember if I bought this one as a kit or if I found my own linen fabric there, but there's Wisdom. And then we have part of the bird done. So I didn't get very far because I lost the pattern and had to get it back, but this is another one that goes on forever. Lots and lots and lots of blank linen there to fill up. But I love the idea of these because it was like outlining and simple stitches and not as much detail, no back stitching, all that. You just basically do the outline and fill it in. A very good watching TV type pattern. So it says Wisdom on one end and Innocence at the bottom. There again, one more look at how it looks. So I thought it was neat the way there were lots of little pictures. So then when I saw this one, the unicorn bell pull, I had to get that one as well. So 1631, I guess this was copyright 2001. So yes, I bought this one a bit more recently, but it's the same idea. You've got a really long band sampler with a border and lots of these little pictures in there that I thought was so cool. So this one says 10th stitch, but it says recommended for any skill level, only cross stitch on 35 count linen. It is 4.5 by 52 inches. Crazy. I think that's partly why I haven't started it, because if anybody out there knows where I can find a good deal on linen that'll go to about 60 inches, let me know, because I could use it for this. So we have several colors here, and we have the different design size for the different counts of linen. And I don't know if this one's still available. 79 by 905 squares. And real quick peek there. That's the charting for that one. All kept in an inside out HEB bag. So that one needs some help as well. Then I used to go to cross stitch conventions, and when I got the job in San Angelo, here where I work, when I moved here, there was a big cross stitch convention going on in Austin. So during the process of moving, I met up with my sister and my mom in Austin, and we spent a couple days at that cross stitch convention, and that, I believe, is where this came from. So we're talking 1995 when I did that. So this is the Acorns and Flowers sampler, and it is another band sampler that is entirely done in black work or back stitch or double running stitch, whatever you want to call it. So this is Samplers and Such from Warwick, Rhode Island. I don't know if she's even still out there. 32 count Belfast linen, half a yard, $28.50. I don't know what those prices are like now. That's what I paid back then. And this is another one, multiple page pattern with the different stitches in the back and instructions. And there's the notes from Becky. And my math is I was trying to figure out whatever I was for whatever I was doing it on. So 110 by 561 stitches, 36 count Edinburgh linen with only 4 colors. Stitch 1 ply floss over 2 linen threads. So let's see what I got. So again, I had fun playing with silk threads. I loved watercolors and water lilies at one point, so I picked out some beautiful silk threads for this one. As you can see there, it's a little bit of a tied up mess. There's the greens. I loved all the shades of greens there and the dark greens. So those are the floss colors that I chose. This is probably 36 count linen that I chose. Let's see, did I get anywhere? Oh boy, that's shocking. I thought I had done more on that one. That's it. That's all I managed to do. And I know my sister always taught me, what does the back look like? Well, it's not perfect. It's not reversible. Sometimes I tried to do reversible, other times I just went for easiest and quickest way. So I should have probably shown you the back on some of my other ones, because I usually did try to make my back very neat. So project bag, hefty 1-zip, jumbo size. Can't help it. I have to throw a little humor into this so it's not too dry. Okay, how much time do we have here? How long have I been going? 43 minutes, wow. Okay, so I'll go ahead and show this one. This one will be a quick one because this was the last one that I bought. Now I did send some of these samplers to my sister for finishing, kept back some. This was one that I kept back because I haven't even started it. So this was from the SM Player. This was called Aggie Jans, A-A-G-I-G-I-E, J-A-N-S, 1732 to 1733. So this is from the Netherlands. It's a Dutch sampler. I like the band sampler on one side with all the motifs on this side. 40 count linen, 11 by 25 inches. On 35 count linen, it's 13.75 by 28. And here's the pretty linen and the needles, DMC floss. As you can see, I've never started it. So I did hold that one back with the hope that someday I will be able to do this one. So again, the same type of really big, easy to see charts, as well as all the notes, stitches, there's all the colors. I haven't switched anything out, although my pattern had a bad day there. What in the world? Color pattern there. So tons and tons of pattern information to help in all the DMC threads. So that one I just had to hold on to. Couldn't give it up yet. So that is indeed the AG Jans from the SM Player. I think the other one that I bought at the same time as I got that one went to my sister though. We'll keep rolling along here. This one is from Threads of Gold, another company I really liked. So this is of course, band antique sampler. This is DHS 1800. So you got the alphabet up there. This one is a little bit simpler than some of the other ones with a simplified little, can you see that with the glare? Simplified little tree at the bottom. Sorry about that. The photograph just really reflects the glare. So as usual, I've replaced everything with silk threads there. Beautiful silk threads all the way around. So this one has a lot more colors, from the pinks and maroons, yellow, gold, greens, blues, grays, and tan. And here's some of the leftovers. So Splendor and water lilies tend to be the ones that I used because that was what was available to me to look at the store. So I've got, okay, I did write down 35 count, some of the numbers that I switched out. 107 by 791 for the stitch count, German in origin, and let's see, entirely cross stitch with Montenegrin and long arm cross stitch, one Algerian I alphabet. Got a nice leaf in there. So this one was definitely simpler than some of the other ones, but that's as far as I got. So it looks like I'm doing it over 2 on this linen here. So maybe that would be a good one to get back into the swing of things if I decide to try to tackle linen again. I'm not there yet. I actually looked last week at what I had and I was almost in tears. I was like, no, I just can't. But that was before I found my magnifying glasses, so maybe. So that's that one. Let's see what's left over here. Okay, this one I'll just show because these are patterns. Let me see, this one's missing part of it. Oh, that's all I have with it. I swear I started this one, but I think it ended up in my sister's stash that I gave away last year. So this was a Permin of Copenhagen. This was another one that I just fell in love with, but I know I did this tree. So my sister may have this one, but since it's in Dutch, I guess. So can't really understand everything here. Pattern comes in several languages. There's all my calculations as I was trying to figure out. I'm guessing I had 35 count linen and all sorts of numbers and stuff related to that. 42 by 28. So again, that's a pattern, but I don't know where it is. And then this was another one that I bought as a cross-stitch kit, but it's still stapled together here. And I have to find it. This is another Danish one here. I'm trying to find 39-0412, if that looks familiar. I'm trying to keep the pattern itself off the line there. It's got several castles and trees. I don't see the name of it though. I'm sure it's on here somewhere, just not in English. So I'll just move on from there. But I used to be a really big fan of Permin of Copenhagen. It was just very rare to be able to get those. So we're near the end of this WIP parade here. I have a few non-band samplers. Oh wait, this is the fabric that came with that second Permin one. So it actually came with Ida cloth, but I'll have to find, I think I left the picture upstairs. So this is different. This is not a reproduction sampler. But this was a more recent project that I tried. Again, this is from Moss Creek Designs. And this was a chatelaine needlebook type thing. Yeah, a little needlebook. So I was also really into chatelaines and the idea of things to store your supplies in. This one came with little charms, everything you needed for the kit, including beads. There's some gold threads, silk, pearl cotton, ribbon, all the stuff you needed to put this together. There's some neat silk threads there, as well as some DMCs. But what I don't see are the instructions. So I will have to check with my sister because I've got the fabric here, and this is as far as I've gotten. And it looks like I started toward the middle for whatever reason. So there's the alphabet done. I used to love to do anything Hardanger or special stitches like that. So had lots of fun. Shepherd's Bush was one of my more modern favorite cross-stitch companies. I had done several Shepherd's Bush modern band samplers. Just Cross Stitch had a beautiful band sampler that's hanging on my wall in my bedroom. It was over several issues. That's what kind of got me into band samplers back in the early 90s, I think. So I have that one on my wall. I stitched that one through college. Okay, here we go. This one is a little bit different. Any Eva Rosenstand fans out there? That's another, you see my trend for long skinnies that I just couldn't give up. This one I didn't get very far, but this is a modern sampler. It's not a reproduction. It's a little band sampler here. This is what I got done. There's the back for all you that like to look at the back. But this was a kit, and as you can see here, not in English again. There's some of the colors. Bell Pull Field Flowers 2 is the name of it. And 13038, if that means anything to you. 19 by 150 centimeters. This pattern is huge. Huge, huge, huge. But it's a series of plants here with lots of bees, butterflies, and dragonflies on it. And I don't think, let's see, nope, I don't have the picture for that anymore, and I really hate to show too much of the charts. I know that's kind of a no-no, in a way people can steal them. There's the other pattern here. So that is the picture that goes with this pattern here that I was confused about. So this was, let's 16 count Ida. It was a kit, 26 by 28. And this is what it looks like with the castles and houses, all the motifs. This is called Zealand 1763. And the floss. It goes with that other one. So I'm going to switch gears here just a tiny bit with these last few, because these were modern kits that I couldn't let go of because they were just too special to me. But my sister has the rest of my modern stuff. But I also had a thing for crossed wing collection. And if you're familiar with them, are they still around? I don't know. But birds were the main theme, birds and flowers. So this was a very special sampler, a bell pull to me, because it's got all these wood warblers. But some of it, and you have the names here, some of it was stitched over 2 and the details were stitched over 1. So long list of floss colors. So let's see if I have to put my cheaters on to read some of this. It's all about the warbler birds. Belfast linen. I'm pretty sure I used Belfast linen light mocha. I remember buying this at the Silver Needle many years ago. It was Weigart from Witchelt. Let's see what else. I was looking for size information, but I don't see it on there. So this was copyright 1995. So here's an example. These were stitched over 1. So the details of the eyes in these birds, they just show an open spot there, because when you go to the detail chart to stitch them over 1. And it was the same for other parts of this chart. All the bird's eyes, but also you can see the outlining there. All the berries were stitched over 1. So there's lots of little details like that throughout this that were stitched over 1. And then this one I haven't started, but it was another crossed wing collection, huge one. This I remember seeing on display somewhere. So I kept this pattern with the other crossed wing collection. I'm trying to find the size of that one. But it's another one where the birds, the details are done over 1 stitch, whereas the flowers are over 2. And then once I found out that there was such thing as a Wood Warblers number 2, I had to buy that chart as well. $8 way back then. But let me show you what I have for Wood Warblers number 1. So I've done actually a fair amount on here. So this one was fun again because it's like lots of little projects in one big one. There's what my back looks like. So each bird is on a different type of tree. So we got our first bird here. And they all have different names. I just don't know what they are. There's the second bird. The third one is on more of a pine tree. This one had the berries that were done over 1, although it looks like I did them over 2. There was an option to do that as well if you really wanted to, but the eyes, I did stitch the details over 1. Then we have this one, and then that looks like some sort of, I was going to say maybe a moss rose or something, but no, I wouldn't be in a tree. So that's as far as I got with that one. So even though this was a modern pattern, it was one I just wasn't ready to give up yet to my sister, and someday maybe I'll get to number 2. Or the other one there, the Flower Power. But in the meantime, here again is the look at Wood Warblers number 1. Crossed wing collection, stored in Ziploc heavy duty. Two more of these old school ones that I'll show you. So, any Marty Bell fans out there, I had both the original chart of this, then I turned around and bought the kit for this once it came out as a kit. This is Miss Hathaway's garden. It's huge. And so I found it easier to just go ahead and buy the kit to have all the floss colors and everything in one spot. But the disappointing thing, I think, on this is the fact that it's Ida cloth. But nowadays, that's not disappointing because that's about what my eyes can do these days. So I didn't get very far on there, but this is what we would call in diamond painting world confetti heavy. And here's the back. So a lot of color changes on this. So in the diamond painting world, confetti heavy is like that. Heaven and Earth designs, I have several charts from that for diamond painting. I can't imagine trying to cross stitch some of those. Then the last one I'll show you is a little bit different because this is needlepoint. So I went to visit my mom, and my sister had made her these really cool grape needlepoint coasters. So then I spent the next several months trying to find that kit. And I did finally find it on eBay. It was a Janlin kit, needlepoint kit. I probably spent too much on it for what it was, but I really wanted to have it. So I didn't get very far because I was a little disappointed in the printing on these. So this, again, petty point needlepoint, really tiny. I think that's like an 18 count maybe. There's the back. But the printing on the canvas, really cheap, not very good. And so the lines aren't meeting up there. So as I go straight down the line on this border, it's offset from what the actual canvas shows. So I got to do it by chart rather than what's on the canvas. So that was a bit frustrating. So I cut the rest here, didn't get very far, but I do believe that it did come with charting. Yes, it did. So it did indeed come with charting, so I don't have to follow what the canvas shows, but it does take longer to do that. So I stopped working on that, but one of these days, because I really liked them and I worked so hard to find this kit. Project bag for this one, plain Ziploc, no label. Sorry. So that's what I have to show you, other than my Santa and ornament collection. So as my eyes got worse, I went more and more into Christmas ornaments because they were smaller and on Ida cloth, and the perforated paper Santas. And then I stopped. And I have since gotten back into cross stitch because I have discovered the stamped cross stitch on Ida. And I know these are Chinese companies. They're sending some of these to me for free to test out. Here's what I've gotten done over the last week on this one. So I can sit and watch TV and not have to follow a chart. And this one is very solid areas of color on 11 count. I've been able to do a lot of work on this. So the pink is this blue color. So the colors don't match anywhere close to the thread colors, but then it's kind of fun to see everything come to life. So this is actually hard to tell from that. It's a tornado because I am a meteorologist. So I wanted to finally be able to cross stitch a tornado. And these come with the chart here that is somewhat close to the printing on the canvas. Now, just like diamond painting, it's all about how many squares per inch and all that, so it's not going to look anything like that. I know that. It's all about resolution and all that good stuff, but that is the original artwork. Looks like AI art. But this was a good way for me to test the waters and play around a little bit with cross stitch in a way that my eyes can do. I've been able to do this without any special equipment, just my cheater glasses while I'm sitting on the couch. So I'm still a diamond painter, primarily. Most of my videos will focus on diamond painting. But diamond painting, you have to sit in a chair, which can hurt your back and your legs for lengths of time that you're sitting. And it's less portable. So I have been making some purchases here of some of these stamped cross stitch kits. This is a set of 12 flowers. that I bought here. And I'm showing you those because this is another WIP here. I've been working on one of the sets of flowers. This is 14 count. But some of the white is not stitched here, but I've got some of the flowers going. This is about as portable as you can get, so I can take that anywhere with me and stitch it and just kind of follow along. Now this one is charted. The chart is more realistic color rather than the bizarre colors that show up on there, but I'm really impressed with how the stamped cross stitch comes in its own project bag with instructions, and once you put them under lukewarm water, all the ink washes away, so it looks like only cross stitch in the end, but it doesn't kill the eyes the way the other stuff does. So I did buy a couple more. I have this one here, Old World Map, because I collect maps. And I also have a huge one here, the ocean scene one, which I have as a jigsaw puzzle as well. And that one, huge here with all the floss colors, you can see. And I know these are probably not real DMC, but they are much more affordable. So here's what the canvas looks like for that one. So these for now are a little more doable for me. But I hope to get back into the game with some of those others that I saved. I also plan on doing a few cross-stitch tutorials, and to do so I got some 9 count Aida cloth because it'll show on camera. And then I have the unboxing that I did as my floss tube number 1 of this spring kit with the little garden. And then Nadir is another one of these companies. I got this sea scene that's in a bottle. And then I got the little owl. He looked cute. And then I'm a Van Gogh fan. That's been my theme for diamond painting for this year, so I got that. And then one last one, and then we'll end this video here. These are bookmarks, and I don't have the photo here, but they are Lord of the Rings themed, so it's hard to tell from all the crazy colors here. The Eye of Sauron, the gate to the dwarf area. This is a hobbit house under a tree, so those are probably not worth looking at right now because they're hard to tell what they look like. That one actually was strange. It did not come with a completed photo, but it did come with felt to put on the back of those. So that's what I have for you tonight. Hopefully that's a little bit better floss tube introduction to the real stitcher that I once was, that I hope to become again with modern tools and ways to help. Ah, that's what that is. It's like, what's that sound? It's my needle holder. So I hope that this was informative. I hope it wasn't too boring. I thank all my diamond painting people for putting up with another cross-stitch video. I'll be doing these maybe once a month, I think. I do have a couple product review packages of cross-stitch coming in from a couple companies, but I think I'll try for once or twice a month of doing the cross-stitch videos. So thank you for watching. If you like the content, you can like, subscribe, all those good things, and come join us for crafting fun, and we'll catch you next time. Goodbye.